Don't taboo. For more videos like this one, please subscribe to this channel.
The rain is going to be the primary thing that you're going to have to deal with across much of the Mid-South, and a couple of cities that we're keeping our eye on for that risk of heavy downpours and rounds of showers and thunderstorms over the next couple of days that could lead to flash flooding. We'll start out here in Little Rock, Arkansas. I know you had some pretty good storms across the region yesterday. The flash flood watch that was just in effect has been allowed to drop for now, but I would not be shocked if we're going to get another one out of this, because the next couple of days we could get 4 to 6 inches of rainfall through the middle of the week. And then how about you in Nashville, Tennessee? There you can see those cloudy skies already evident. That is holding the temperatures down a little bit into the lower 70s at this time. Neither of these places really needs any more rainfall. In fact, we've got a rainfall surplus in a lot of the Mid-South and Tennessee River Valley that we've been experiencing since the beginning of the month. In fact, as you take a look at the map right here, everywhere that you see that pink fuchsia color, and you can see it's kind of speckled all over the place, that's a foot of rain or more that we've had just since the beginning of the month. So we're going to put more rain down on top of that. Unfortunately, the next couple of days, this is a forecast rainfall still to come between now and Thursday. And notice the big bullseye right here across parts of Arkansas into parts of Oklahoma. That's a good 3 to 5 inches in spots. Tennessee Valley, we're talking more like 1 to 2 inches of rain, and that will stretch on over into the Carolinas. So it's this pesky frontal boundary that doesn't want to move. It's a stationary front. Stationary means it doesn't move, right? So we'll get these little disturbances that are going to track along that front, leading to more rain, more thunderstorms, and localized flash flooding. So here's the area that we're going to watch for that risk through tomorrow morning. It's generally Arkansas into the boot heel of Missouri, stretching through the state of Tennessee, and on the periphery, both north and south of that. Tomorrow, showers and thunderstorms. They won't last all day, but we'll see rounds of thunderstorms. So it's the kind of day where I wouldn't change my plans altogether, but I would definitely have a plan B for sure. Notice tomorrow, some of those same areas will be at risk, Paul. So it's just going to be one after the other, especially probably through Wednesday or so before we dry out.
We're also watching the tropics too, Jacqui.
South already this morning too. We want to take you into the Dallas-Fort Worth area where the rain is still kind of skirting along the north side of town and tracking eastward right along 20 and I-30 as well. Dallas, you came in with more than 2 inches of rainfall in just a couple of hours that led to some localized flash flooding. The flood advisory will be allowed to expire, I think, at the top of the hour. Now that rain continued to push eastward through Arkansas, Little Rock, just a little bit of cloudiness and a few showers, but some more rain can be expected this afternoon and even into tonight. Now, we are tracking conditions across Louisiana. Here's Lake Charles. Notice some heavier rain showers just to the south. It's going to be a close shave, Lake Charles, but hopefully that steers clear of you. And we'll watch for rounds of thunderstorms continue, not just today, but really over the next couple of days. Now, a few storms could be severe. I really think the threat of flash flooding as well as frequent lightning will be the biggest dangers and the most likely dangers today. But a few storms could reach severe limits and cause some damaging winds. So we'll watch for that risk from the Texas Panhandle, stretching all the way over through much of the state of Tennessee. Because there are a lot of cities that have had a lot of rain so far this month, and we've got a storm system setting up that's going to keep things unsettled and keep the chance of rain in your forecast for the next couple of days. So we're talking about a couple of different areas. Little Rock, Arkansas, I know you've had a lot of rain and rough weather the last couple of days. Unfortunately, today's not going to be much different. 74 degrees there right now. And then over here on this side, we've got Nashville, Tennessee. You've already got the clouds, and showers and thunderstorms are in your forecast too. So the main setup is showing you how much rain we've already had here in the month of August. And as we pull up the map, it's going to show you some of these areas off into the pink. And this is showing you spots that have had a foot or more of rainfall already coming down this month. And we are going to add several inches on top of that, especially into Oklahoma, into Arkansas. This whole gold area here indicating where we could have 3 to 5 inches of rainfall between now and the end of the day on Thursday. Tennessee River Valley, more like 1 to 2 inches, but we could get some locally heavier amounts. So a stationary boundary is setting up shop here, and we're going to see little disturbances right within that boundary. Very warm, very sultry, humid air on the south side of all of this. So showers and thunderstorms are going to be frequent. Here's the area we're watching primarily for flash flooding through tomorrow morning, and that includes you across Arkansas, much of Tennessee, even into parts of Kentucky where you've had rounds of rain, and the remnants of Laura move on through there. there. Tomorrow's forecast shows you the hit and miss that's going to stretch across the central Appalachians, even into the Carolinas. So flash flooding will be possible, stretching again parts of Oklahoma, parts of Arkansas, into much of Missouri. So this gives you the idea that we're going to continue to see this repeated flow of showers and storms, all bringing for that water to go. So every little drop of rain that comes down just causes the other water to continue to go up. And unfortunately, more rain in the forecast there for Houston this afternoon and into tonight. So check this out. It's a scene that we've seen about how much more rain we can be expecting. In fact, there's a swath that's developing that could bring an additional 4 to 8 inches. 4 to 8 inches on top of what we've already seen. So we get this bright red area indicating our risk of flash flooding, very likely, which is the same as what we would consider a high for a category. And out of those high risk days like today, we tend to get 80% of our flood damage that happens each year, 80%. So today is that day. And of course, people sometimes unfortunately lose their lives. We haven't heard that happen yet today, but there have been a lot of water rescues. When that happens, put yourself in danger, you put the rescue workers in danger as well, and 35% of yearly flood deaths happen on these high risk days. So really heed that advice. I know the turnaround, don't drown, it is a mantra, it rhymes. We do that on purpose so you remember that, and hopefully when you're driving up and you encounter that little rhyme comes into the back of your head and you remember, you know what, okay, maybe it's not really worth the risk. I know you've got something important to do. I know you have somewhere important to go. We all do, but it's just never worth that risk. You need to find an alternate route. There are alternate routes. It's going to take you a little longer, but that's okay because you'll have a much better chance of getting there safely. So some of the biggest factors in terms of the displacement of water, which helps then create the buoyancy of your vehicle, it weighs less. 2 feet of water is all that it takes to float most vehicles, sometimes even a foot of water, depending on the speed of that water as that continues to go. Houston, very vulnerable to flooding typically for a number of different reasons. Some of it has to do with just the close proximity to the Gulf of Mexico, so we can tap into that Gulf moisture. But it's also very flat and everything's very paved, Carl. So, you know, you really have to rely on the drainage system. You don't have a lot of vegetation or grassy areas to help absorb that water. But it's not just Texas. We've got problems in Louisiana today. Look at our jet stream pattern into next week. Now we've got this nice big dip, this big trough here that kicks off the work week next week. And that's just going to get reinforced and pushed farther to the south as we head towards the middle of the week. In fact, we're talking a cold front working its way through the state of Florida. That's right. That doesn't happen every day, but this is the time of year where we do start to see it. That's going to usher in cooler than average temperatures. That's going to be likely to very likely for about the eastern half of the U.S. In fact, really from about the Mississippi River on eastward. Look at the change of temperatures here. 80s for you in the Atlanta metro through Tuesday, and then, oh, hello, 60s and 70s. Your average high this time of the year is 80 degrees. So this may not be record breaking, but certainly below average and what we would not typically see. And there you can see the forecast lows making it down into the 40s. Still causing impacts up and down the East Coast. In fact, Highway 12 in North Carolina still closed down until maybe 6 o'clock today because of the overwash and all of the sand. Now, Beta is a post-tropical system, but that's over land now. And so the only thing we really have to worry about anymore will be the threat for more flooding and perhaps a couple of tornadoes yet here for today. And you can kind of see the core of this where the heaviest rainfall is working its way across central parts of Louisiana right now. Flash flooding is an ongoing concern, and we could see an additional 3 to 5 inches here on top of what you've already had. So the flooding most likely stretching from Alexandria over into western parts of Mississippi, including the Jackson metro area. We've had flooding in Greenville. In fact, a flash flood warning still in effect there right now. Notice we're starting to get some pops of thunder here, so indicating some of the convective action taking place as our temperatures have heated up this afternoon and causing additional lift into the atmosphere. There's that Greenville flash flood warning I was telling you about, some moderate street flooding happening there. In Alexandria, I'm getting worried about you too. The heavy rain has just been to your south and west, but that's trying to creep its way in there, and it's moving very, very slowly. Well, before folks in Lake Charles, Louisiana could finish cleaning up from Laura last month, along came Beta. Meteorologist Tevin Wooten joining us now with a look at how the city has been dealing with the recovery efforts. Tevin, thankfully, a lot of the worst of the rain from Beta has stayed north of Lake Charles.